10K on the Bay, my journey to 10,000 live listings. Today we're going to do store reviews again, but I'm going to be a little bit more formal, and I think this will be more useful for everyone. I'm going to write out all the suggestions, be a little bit more specific on each store, and I think this is going to be a lot more actionable for everybody. So if you watch this show, there are about 15 to 17 stores that I'm reviewing. You will get 5 improvements per store, so you can apply this to your store. After 85 or so improvements, you should have a pretty good idea of how to make your store good. If you want specific help, you can go ahead and purchase a review below in the description below. But let's get into it. This is Galaxy Apparel. He sent me an email saying he wants to make his store look high-end, and it says, "Hello, welcome to my store. I sell high-end clothing." So the first thing I think when I think high-end clothing is like Brooks Brothers or Xenia, or sort of these higher. Brooks Brothers is like a medium brand, but Xenia is sort of the pinnacle of men's clothing. And if I look at your logo, it looks like it's from the 90s. It's multicolor. It doesn't say to me high end. It says vintage, sort of vintage color blocking. So I would definitely improve your logo, get a more distinguished font, something very simple and clean looking. Maybe like a one-tone color with a powerful font in Galaxy Apparel that would give it an upper class feel. One thing that I would say is that when you go for really high end, contrast is a big deal, and I'm going to give you an example right now with this gentleman, Goose Guy 84. So this is one of the top stores I have seen as far as presentation. The photos are immaculate. If you look at it, the background is pure white. He's cropped out everything around the item that's not related to the item, and I think that that's going to give you a super premium feel. If you look at these photos, they're basically perfect. The background is white. He has basically a removable head on the mannequin. I think you could go one step higher and get a ghost mannequin, like I'm gonna have in a couple of weeks, and it's gonna, be completely cut out. So when you look into this picture, you will see the tag of the shirt or the jacket if you're doing it without that, which I think would be an even more premium look. Details of the button, details of the cuff, details of the logo. Make sure that the logo is centered, and that's going to give you literally the most premium presentation for high-end clothing. You can also make your own HTML template. Not 100% necessary, but it does make your store look extremely professional, and it allows you to command extremely high prices when you do that. And I think it's important because if you're looking for high end, it's going to sell a little bit slower, so you want to make sure that you have enough margin in there to make it worth your time. Okay, so I think that you should also include cuffs in your shirt pictures. I think this is going to make a big difference because as a dude, I want to see the cuff of the shirt in the first picture. If you're going to do items like, for example, you have some close-ups um, like this. For me, I want to see what the cuff looks like because that's important to me. Collar, pocket, cuff, that's pretty much it. And then the cut. So is it classic? Is it slim fit? Is it trim? Is it shaped fit? This is a word I'd like you to put in the description. So the title, I want you to include classic or regular or slim or fitted. And that's not included in the titles of a lot of your shirts. And I think that's going to make a big difference for title. Also, for product mix, one thing I think is huge is that the most searched term in men's shirts is the number 18, which is actually the size. So I type in 18 in your store, you have 3 plus size 18s out of your 200 and something items, and this is literally, according to the growth tab in eBay, the highest source of opportunity. So you may want to look for more shirts that are in the plus size 17.5. You have 0 items, but that might be because you use 17 and a half. 11 items in 17, and let's look at 16. 36. So the demand, it makes sense in this case. There are a lot less plus size shirts. I'm sure that from selling you already know that the bigger the size, generally the less supply, and your store definitely matches that. Another thing I want to add is I think you should have flat shipping costs, and I think that's going to give you a tremendous advantage. So for example, if I look on this first page, you have $7.20 for this polo shirt free shipping on this English laundry shirt, and then $5.99 on this Eaton shirt. And that's going to slow you down when you have different shipping policies because you're going to have to wonder, is this one free? Is this one calculated? Is this one flat rate? And it's going to slow you down. So if you're going to sell shirts, it's faster, in my opinion, to just have one type of shipping policy and stick with it. And if you're going to offer free shipping, in some cases, I recommend not doing best offer because people won't factor in the shipping when they make a best offer, from my experience, and they're more likely to just purchase it if it just says free shipping and it's easy for them to understand the exact cost. And with dress shirts, especially for men, you can definitely have a good feel of the market. You can just price it a little bit under market and leave it. And I think that will really, really help your store. Look at Goose Guy 84. I think that's something that you can definitely learn from. Now we have RJS Technology. This is an electronics store in Australia. Now forgive me, in Australia I'm not super familiar with the process. From what I have seen so far based on your store is that prices are relatively high. And I think that's because everything in Australia is more expensive. So I'm going to give you 5 ideas, but I'm not that experienced of a brand new electronics category. So I'll do my best, and if you want a refund, let me know. But I think these 5 tips may or may not help you. So you could get the 250 items in your store and max out a 250 item store subscription. Looks like you have a lot of replenishables in your store, but I think you may want to optimize your own store with a couple different strategies. In new electronics, I have seen people open more than one store. And what they're doing with that is they're actually flooding the search results. And how that works is you open a second account and you take actual photos of all your items. You change the keywords slightly, or you leave the same keywords, identical listing, but a different stock photo. And let's say you have 2 available, so you're not breaking eBay's policies as far as listing the only one off in 2 different stores. So you have one each, you list it in both stores. You can actually test which keywords do better, and then you can also get ideally 2 items in the listings that look different. So it looks like 2 different sellers. So when people are doing the comparison, they either pick your listing or they pick your listing, depending on how you set that up. I think that's a good way to also test free shipping, not free shipping. And a lot of your items may ship internationally for relatively cheap because they're so small. I'm sure you've done some research there because you've sold thousands of items, but hopefully you're paying attention to the shipping costs, and the ability to offer free and a flat rate in 2 different stores I think may be something that you want to test. Also, having a backup store is great because in electronics it's a little bit scary. Sometimes you can have a couple of returns and it sort of messes up your feedback. I recommend having a couple of stores to play with. As far as photos go, your photos are excellent. They're stock photos. If they're not stock photos, you're a tremendous photographer. And I think that may hurt you in some cases. People like to buy things that they know the person has in stock. But based on your feedback, I think it's relatively straightforward that you do have the items in stock. Number 3, I think you should try bundle and variation listings. I have seen quite a few phone cases that you're selling. I don't know if it would work to try 2 or 3 cases in the same picture. I really like this picture right here with the multiple covers in the photo, and I think that's easier to digest as a buyer. Okay, I can pick red, blue, green, but you may want to mix it up and say set of 2, lot of 4, 5 different colors, because you're just going to incur one shipping cost. If I'm familiar with the Australian shipping, they have like under £1 and under £5, something like that. So if you want me to add you to the Australian reseller chat that I have, let me know. I'm not sure if you're already in that, but I'm trying to connect with Aussies because that's my second largest demographic. So anything I can do to help you out in Australia specifically, let me know. I'm also going to visit Australia next year, so hopefully we can meet up and I can look at your business a little bit closer. But I love the replenishable game. Number 4, I've noticed a lot of the models that you have are not current. They're iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus. I don't see a lot of 7 in here. I don't see a lot of Galaxy S7. I think that might totally boost you because you want to sell hopefully the newest accessories in your cell phone accessory store, because I think that might be an opportunity for you to capitalize on people just buying a brand new phone and really wanting to protect it. And at this point, you're selling stuff that is already an older product. So hopefully, listing some new current phone items is going to help boost up. And I don't know if you do any marketing as far to your existing customers, but I have seen electronics dealers include a card that says, "We will buy electronics from you or your old device," and that's been successful. So it may not hurt. You may want to send an actual card to your customers requesting they send you their old device or you'll buy it from them. It's a good way to source inventory if you are very clever, and I think something worth a try. And number five, just strategy wise for your store, and I'm doing this in my replenishable store. I'm actually going for 66 sales a day at $5 profit, and that's going to produce a $10,000 income in theory. So I'm really working on um, trying to get to $10,000 a month profit in replenishables, and I'm going for the 66 items to sell five a day. And the way that I'm doing that is I'm vetting and testing two new products per week, and I'm testing it in a bunch of different categories. And I think you may want to try that. Get into the habit of sourcing and learning two different products per week, and I think over time you may actually have X amount of products in your store. That process can never. It might be something you continue the rest of your life if you enjoy that research part. So let me know if that's useful. All right, what's going on, Den, for deals? You have 461 feedback, and you have 82 sales in the last month with about 1,600 sales. So my guess is around 150 to 200 items sell per month, which is around 10-11%, which is pretty strong. My first impression of your store is you have fantastic stuff. You have a great logo, and you look like an antique shop or a picker. Now, I say antique shop I have a couple of opinions about that. One is every single background is different for the most part. Um, and it seems like you have different areas where you take photos or stage items. I think that may actually slow you down quite a bit. There's an auction house that I follow a lot, which is Heritage Auction, and their photos look very similar, like they take them all in the same place. And I think that may save you time. When you have a sell through rate under 20%, you're sort of in a buy and hold type of store. You're making very, very large profit margins, with only 10 or 20% sell through rate. That means a lot of this stuff is sitting in the warehouse on shelves or around your house. And if you're going to do that, I definitely recommend having a consistent photography place. It's going to look a little bit more professional. And I think I want you to look like one of the higher end shops where they auction things for millions of dollars. If you present yourself like that, you're going to look you're going to hopefully command more premium prices than just your local antique shop, which is what your store looks like to me. As far as product mix, a lot of your items sell in the $10 to $30 range when I look at solds, and with an occasional home run. I think this is a fantastic way to run your business. That being said, I notice in your pictures there's a lot of glare sometimes from uneven lighting. I think if you made your lighting brighter, even if you keep it in different settings, if you had brighter lighting, it would give your items look like they're worth more. Like for example, on this book, there's a little bit of hotness as far as and on the actual book title, and I think that makes it look a little bit like it's in your house versus like it's in a store. So I think hopefully that would give you a little bit more of a presentation bump. Also, if you make your photos completely square, as you can see right here with your owl photo, I love when the photo goes all the way to the edges because it gives me a clear picture of those owls, and also gives it like a larger space feel. And I think that people are going to pay more when they see that. These owl pictures are super hot. I know the owls trend, and I hear that on Scavenger Life all the time. So I recommend if you're going to crop photos, crop them from top to bottom, not from left to right, because it leaves all this white space on each side. Um, I do believe all caps does hurt your search ranking a little bit. You may want to use the full characters on rare items, and you can use, this is one of those cases where I would recommend using worth point to get an idea of how people have listed these items over a longer period of time so that you can really get all the money by putting the right keywords in. For you, I think it's a keyword game. You're a talented picker. You source items that sell for 30 to 100 really often, and you are one of those everything stores. So you sell in lots of different categories, and I don't know how long you've been doing it, but you have, let's see, you haven't been doing it too long, but you have great sell through. So it looks like 394 feedback in the last year. You have been doing this probably only 1 or 2 years, so you're just getting started. So great job on having this type of a sell through rate for someone who is a picker, because usually pickers have been doing it for a long time, and they started to develop a knowledge base over time. Yeah, so hopefully that helps with your store. The main thing with me is that when you're an everything store, it takes up a ton of space, and I have very rarely seen people scale to the point where they make $10,000 a month without either a gigantic space to store all this stuff, like if you have a shop and people bring stuff to you, or you have a lot of room in your garage, but trying to niche down a little bit and specializing on one of these, whether it's rare books, whether it's vintage electronics, whether it's a lot of these tchotchkes. I think if you have a nice core of those things, it's going to help you build a business, because, of course, 10 or 20 of those selling per day at $20 profit is really going to add up quick. And then you can use that to funnel your home run inventory. And I've been doing that with my store. So basically, I'm trying to get the bread and butter $10 to $30 profit items moving through the store to buy long tail items that just hit once in a while and spike my revenue. So hopefully that's useful. Let me know if there's anything specific you need, but I think you would definitely benefit from having a more professional feel to your store versus just right now it looks like um, randomly around an antique store. What's up? Now we have Nick's finds. So let's start with photos. I think you could benefit from having square photos. So if you take the photos and utilize the full square, what I mean by that is, let's look at this shirt that I have. I actually prefer seeing the cuff in the first picture. I actually made a mistake on this listing because I didn't show the flip cuff. But this picture allows me to see pretty much what 90% of the shirt looks like. The entire shape, I do like to see it to see if it's a regular or classic fit. You sell a lot of men's clothing like me, and I just get a full. I don't get very many questions because of these pictures. And also, if you can see these little black dots in the photograph, I can see the length of the sleeve, the length of the shirt, and the length of the width of the chest from the picture. So I can definitely answer questions with measurements just based on the picture. One thing with the mannequin, I do like it. It looks fantastic because it shows the shape of the shirt, but I prefer like this barber um, jacket where I can see the entire thing. On a mannequin, I think the most premium look is when I can see the entire shirt on the mannequin. The partial view that you have on a lot of your things is great, but I just think as a dude, I want to see the whole picture. That being said, some sellers intentionally do what you're doing, so people need to click in and see it, but I just think it's really competitive and you want people to see most of the item while they're scrolling on their phone. Your shipping costs are good. It looks like you're charging calculated. You have a very slow sell-through rate. So looking at probably 50 items sold per month with 700 sold or listed. I'm not sure how many items were just brand new, newly listed, but it looks like only a few. There's a Your biggest issue, in my opinion, for sell-through rate is going to be your titles. The first thing is that you can shorten long sleeve the L/S or short sleeve the S/S and save a few more words. There's a couple of glaringly missing things from your titles, which is gender and color. You want to, it's very inconsistent. For example, this Reebok jacket does not have the gender and it does not have size. So someone searching for a specific windbreaker will not find this. I always recommend you add in a sport or the occasion, like dress shirt, casual shirt, golf shirt, rugby shirt, because that stuff is searched and you're missing the color and you're missing the gender on a lot of your listings, and you also have the custom SKU. I bet the C at the end of it, or the I, that's where you're storing the item. I would move that to your custom SKU internally and then print that on the label when you print it, to make it easier. So for me, when I sell an item, I print it where it is located is on the label. I can just walk to it and slap it on and I'm done. And I think that would benefit you greatly versus putting it in the title, because you're wasting those characters when you can add in one more keyword for people to find it. And for me specifically, it really helped sell-through rate immediately when I filled up all the words with relevant key terms. Okay, so let's go to on your pricing. Me personally, I would go $24.99 instead of 25. I just think it sounds cheaper. I actually think $19.99 plus $9.99 sounds cheaper than 25 plus $4, even though they're the same price. So trying to get the price points to $9.99, $19.99, $24.99, $34.99 sounds good, and it's what every retail chain's been doing. I do think that that matters. So give it a test, see if it works. If it doesn't work, let me know, and I'll do another review for you. And then finally, there's two more things, which is your product mix. When I look at what's sold, a lot of it's under 30 bucks, and I want you to add more stuff in that lower range because I think it sells fast. Personally, it depends on what you're selling, but in the clothing category, for me, it's almost like I know 12 shipped, $12 including shipping, sells like hotcakes. You're at 60-70% sell through. When you start creeping up towards 20, I mean, you're going from 60-70% sell through, dropping down to like 10%, 20% per month. Drops way down when you start asking a little bit more because of the competition. So my recommendation for that, to combat both, let's say you do want to command a higher price, offer a promotion where if it's over $50, they get a $10 discount or a $5 discount. You're going to make that back probably on the shipping. But the way to do that is you go into your promotions manager and you create a promotion for a shopping cart size. And once you do that, see if you click in here, it'll say add a few more for this promotion. Then you're going to get some double orders, and people will like that because they're going to get a little bit of a shipping discount. And I think that people want that, especially when your store has so many of the same types of items. It would be very normal for somebody to pick up more than one item. A lot of coats and jackets, I love it. I think that you should do your best to pick a variety of different items, because for me suits is very scary. I like to have suits, jackets, blazers, windbreakers, winter coats to mix it up because they just traditionally do not sell fast. So I just try to get the variety in there. The bread and butter items between 10 and 30 bucks are really going to keep your cash flow going. Um, your sell-through rate concerns me a little bit. I wonder if some of your items are also stale, but hopefully changing your titles is going to instantly result in more sales for you. Let me know how that works out. Also tell me if you're planning on maxing out your store to 1,000 listings for the premium store subscription, or how you're planning on organizing your growth from here to the next level, because I assume, actually just email me and let me know. Are you trying to sell things faster, or are you trying to sell things at the same rate and have a larger store? Let me know your goals so I can give you some better advice. Here we have Rava Rosam. You have 90 feedback. Let's take a look at how long you've been selling. Looks like about a third of that this year. So you've been selling for a while, a couple of years. Taking a look at the store, we have 221 items. That's great for a basic store. Hopefully you can get up to 250 and max it out. One thing I noticed right off the bat is that all your photos are super dark. That's going to make it's going to make it difficult to avoid looking like an estate sale, is what this store looks like to me. Everything is dark. There's a few issues with the photos for me. They're all in different places in the home, which is going to slow you down. In my opinion, if you bring all your things to the same area and take photographs in one place, it's going to be much faster. Most of your items are cut off, so only part of the item is in the photo. I would recommend making the photos square so you take up the whole amount. And there's also a warped shape on the items because you're taking it at an angle, and that might be because of your height. But if you set something on a table and you take it at an angle, it's going to look a little bit wonky because it's hard to see the item at the right angle. All clothing shots should be taken straight at the item, in my opinion, to get the best look. Um, it's interesting because you have a bunch of lots in this store. A lot of bras. I think you have a lot of sleep shorts, which is great. I love that. When you bundle up items, you're going to get better pricing for them. But you just want to make sure that you can see all the patterns. I'd almost do, left like a mosaic of shorts because I can't really see what the bottom pair of shorts looks like here. If you're going to do the lots, I love the lot pictures where it shows multiple quantity and you can see it super clearly. You need to fill up your titles. This is massively important. These heels, we don't know what brand they are. We don't know what type of heels they are. We don't know what color they are. Um, your floor, oh, see, this is apartment 9. I can also see that your floor is dirty, which is not a good look. And this is a little bit sloppy, but you can definitely tell, like as an example, if I'm showing you one of my shoes, I'm going to use, this is not necessary, but a pure white background for the first photo to give it more of a pop. And then the angle here allows me to see the shoes. I like putting shoes on a regular, this is unprofessional because my floor is a little bit dirty too, but you can see the detail in natural light versus pure white. It's quite a bit difference, but this looks more natural. Looks more natural on wood. What I'm trying to do is give people an angle of the back, the front, the side, and so for your store, you did do a good job of that, but there's way too much of the background. I can see the hole in your dresser. Um, yeah, you want to make sure that it's as void as possible. This is extremely difficult to read. I had to tilt my hand to the side to see the sizing. So make sure you just do a little bit more of a professional job presenting your store. Your store looks like um, an estate sale. Now, the reason why I say an estate sale and not a garage sale is a garage sale, the items are not as um, in fact, I think that your store has nicer items than a yard sale. That's why I say estate sale, because these items would just be strewn about the house. You'd walk through, look for things, and they would be very random. Versus like a garage sale is mainly clothing, shoes with a couple of gems. Your pricing on your shirts auction is higher than my pricing buy it now. Here you're charging $12 for a Jose Bank shirt. This shirt wouldn't sell for $12 buy it now for sure, because of how competitive it is, and it's not a very powerful shirt. I mean, like Jose Bank sometimes won't sell $12 new. So you need to understand what you're selling. Looks like you're doing a lot of sell similar, and it's pulling up the shipping preference for the person that you're shipping with, and that's going to make a big difference because these 3 shirts should almost ship for the same amount, and you have 3 different shipping costs, 3 different pictures, 3 different areas in your house, 3 different formats in the title. That's going to make it very difficult to create consistency in your store and really start leveling up because customers are going to get a random experience. You're going to get random results. Um, and these pictures are super dark, and that makes something makes it hard to purchase. These ties are kind of like blobs because of the way they're presented, and the way that you don't want to have it wrinkled. I mean, let me just give you one more example from Goose Guy 84. Goose Guy 84. I'm going to show you like what the most expensive looking tie picture I've ever seen is. Like here you have the complete design of the tie, right? You can see he took the time to tie it properly. He took the time to lay it straight, show you the full design. This tie picture, right? It's just dark. You can see the shadow. You can see the table. You can't see the pattern. This is the best picture of the tie so far. But see how dark it is, and there's a shadow down here. So you're saying it's almost like this is just me taking pictures of it randomly at my house instead of a store. So hopefully you can up that a little bit and then reach back to me and let me know how your store is going. Let me know what your goals are. But your product mix looks fine. You've got good items in your store. I would just present them a little bit more professionally, and I think you're going to get a much better sell-through rate. Although I am impressed that you had, let's say 30 sales with 221 items. It's not bad. So you have a decent amount of sales. Now we just need to get the pricing up a little bit. I think that's going to come 100% with presentation and filling in your whole title, making use of every single character, and also not doing so many auctions. I'd only do 1% auctions, and right now you're doing 25% auctions. So try and reduce that a little bit, and I think that should help out. And thank you everyone for stopping by. I'm going to do reviews, I think, in sets of 5 so I can stay fresh. I really want to do a really good job with reviews so that you guys can get really actionable stuff. There's 25 ideas in this video, guys. If you guys want to buy a review, hit it up in the description below. If you want to ask questions for free, you can email me at 10konthebay@gmail.com. Appreciate your time. I'll see you tomorrow.